of devotion and betrayal, and of love and war. It is a story of families and individuals and the tragic consequence of a single act. Its themes are universal. Our story takes place in the ancient Greek Aegon around 1500 BC. The gods and goddesses are celebrating the wedding of the goddess Thetis to the mortal Peleus. Unfortunately, the goddess Strife has been left off the guest list, and in anger, she spoils the wedding by throwing a golden apple into the crowd. Engraved on the apple are the words, "To the fairest." Of course, all of the goddesses claim it, and the task of deciding falls to Zeus, who, unwillingly to get into the middle of the argument, recalls a story he had heard of a mortal named Paris who lived on Mount Ida near Troy and was the most fair-minded of mortals. He sends for him.
All are fair. Never have I seen such beauty. It is too difficult to decide.
Gentle Paris, little bit deaf in my character, fidelity to my family. My cheek is as a rose, delicate and pure hue. Am I not the fairest? Say yes, and I shall grant you a happy home.
Strong Paris, behold my strength and my grandeur. Behold the curve of my sword arm. My patron the owl, symbol of divine wisdom. Am I not the fairest? Say yes, and I shall grant you great power. Fair Paris, behold.
Aphrodite appears to Paris. Having just washed her long hair in the river Scamander, her tresses are a halo of golden highlights. He is awestruck.
Judge me the fairest now and give you the most beautiful woman in the world.
Paris bows before her and sets the golden apple at her feet.
She, Aphrodite, is fairest of all goddesses. That's my judgment.
Hera and Athena are enraged and storm out of the wedding.
What have you done, young man? You have entered the goddesses. So from now she will lead you to the most beautiful woman, all of Sparta.
I know. Well, you're looking at me really like,
Scene 2. Paris is taken to the house of Sparta, where he is treated with great hospitality by the king, Menelaus, and looked on with loving eyes by the queen Helen. Late one night, Paris and Helen flee the kingdom and sail for Troy, infuriating Menelaus. Greek leaders from neighboring kingdoms assemble in Mycenae, the home of Menelaus' brother Agamemnon, and his wife Clytemnestra. Their purpose, to sail to Troy and demand the return of Helen. Many of the men had been Helen's suitors before her father chose Menelaus to be his daughter's husband. Fearing they will rise up against him, Menelaus makes them swear to defend her from any harm. At Aulis along the coast, the Greeks try to sail for Troy, but because of an insult to the goddess Artemis, they lose a third of their fleet to raging coastal storms sent by her in anger. A seer is consulted, and the great leaders learn that only the sacrifice of Agamemnon's daughter will appease the goddess.
Leaders of the allied kingdoms, you have come here to honor the oath given to my wife on her betrothal to me, to always honor her marriage vow. And because she has been stolen from my own home, we must go to Troy to retrieve her. If it weren't for these winds, we would have been there already. How many miles have we traveled? By land, by sea, we've gotten nowhere.
I would defend my oath, but the goddess's wrath overpower us.
Perhaps we had best go no further. My wife Penelope yearns for her return. My own sensible lungs is
I am ready to fight. I will defend my oath until the death. My honor will not be restored until Helen is returned. I will follow my friend Achilles to death if need be.
Gentlemen, my dear wife cannot take the strain. My daughter, Iphigenia, will not go like a lamb to
can show it, because of his unsuccessful attempts to launch the ships, Agamemnon's mind is made up. He has heard murmurings of discontent and talk of installing Achilles as their leader.
Guards, bring my daughter Iphigenia.
Hey, Mike.
We must have a fair wind from Troy. We sail tomorrow from Aulis.
I don't know what happened there.
I didn't want to throw it. I was scared.
Scene 3. The Greek forces get their fair wind for Troy, but once on the shores of Ilium, they are faced with the great walls of the city itself. For 10 years, the Greeks lay siege, but cannot breach the walls of Troy. Their encampment on the beach is full of discontent. Soldiers fan out into the countryside and up and down the coast, burning and looting neighboring villages.
She's an old fool we have pillaged, Ajax. Divide it up. Look at this fine slave, daughter of the priest of Apollo. She too is strong, and they are cousins.
Speak. What are your names?
I understand you've been raiding the villages. Apollo has been angered and is raining down plagues and arrows on the soldiers. I forced you to fear Chryseis in hopes that he will spare us more misery. As leader, I command you to give me this girl, Chryseis, in hopes that it will make up for my loss. Deliver her to my tent immediately.
I refuse to give her up. I've grown fond of her.
There are others.
You must not obey your commanding officer.
That's why some kind of scheme. We might get her back.
We can take her by force. Fine. Take her to Agamemnon, Patroclus. But when the others learn, I will not fight. And when the others learn of this, they will not fight either. What chance will we have then?
Scene 4. Achilles' refusal to fight fuels the discord of the Greek forces, and Agamemnon is unable to lead them. The war is at standstill. Atop the walls of Troy, King Priam, Queen Hecuba, and the royal family look with suspicion from the palace battlements.
I can't understand. It's been days since the last attack. Perhaps our defense is wearing them down at last. When will they next attack?
Many women have lost sons, husbands, and fathers. Our people are suffering. Maybe the Lord will be merciful. Helen, do not look so pale.
Their families do not affect the city. Our people are willing to die in their presence and possessor.
Just then, Hector, Prince of Troy, rushes up to them. A look of concern flashes across Andromache's weary face.
Hector, my dear husband, why do you hold your helmet? Our son looks caught in horror. Take it off.
Father, we have spoken to you soon. The arms of Troy will lead forces to our gate. Andromache, I will do as you ask. Go in and say farewell. I must go and meet Achilles and put an end to his reign on.
Hector removes his helmet and embraces his son and wife. From the battlements they watch. A short time later, Hector returns, carrying Achilles' armor.
Achilles!
No. You were the first one.
Shots fired.
Bro, tone it down. I wish that camera was going so we could record all this stuff. Yeah, it is.
Scene 5. Achilles, who had been brooding in his tent, discovers his armor missing. Just then, Ajax and Odysseus run in bloody and disheveled.
We all wanted to lead us from gates. And we followed you when you were struck dead.
Where wasn't you? Your was Patroclus.
My best friend slain? Who was responsible?
King Paris, son of King Menelaus. Paris' brother.
I'll go fight him.
Achilles runs out of his tent, not to the gates of Troy, but to the shore, where he calls to his mother, the sea goddess Thetis, for help. Thetis commands that new armor be made for her son, Hephaestus, the god of fire and metal. Achilles' new armor is impervious to weapons of any kind. With it, he runs out onto the battlefield. Hector sees the new armor and hears Achilles call to him. He hugs his wife and baby and meets Achilles at the gates.
Hector! Hector! You must die!
They fight. And Hector is overcome. He falls, and from the ramparts come a wailing from the women of Troy. To the astonishment of all, Achilles ties Hector to his chariot and drags his body around the outer walls of Troy. Scene 7. Meanwhile, allies to the house of Troy have arrived, and as their numbers Scene 6. For days, Achilles drags the body of Hector around the walls of Troy. Never had the Trojans seen such brutality, but finally, after a proper ceremony for Patroclus, Achilles retires to his tent with the body of slain Hector.
Achilles, I have come to retrieve the body of my son.
His body is a war prize of retribution.
I have brought gold in exchange for him. I understand that 25 ducats is appropriate.
Put it on the scale.
Priam and his daughter, Polyxena, set the gold onto the scale.
Do not meet the standards.
Polyxena, with tears in her eyes, steps forward and removes a heavy gold chain from around her neck. She puts it on the scale with the gold coins. The scale tips. Achilles, his heart overcome by her sorrow and loveliness, finds that he is softened.
Please sit down. How has it come to this?
They talk of their sorrows until late in the evening. All the while, Achilles grows more and more fond of Polyxena. Finally, Priam, noticing his daughter's effect on the Greek warrior, offers her hand in marriage.
If her marriage will mean an end to the misery of my people, I give her to you.
I accept your offer, but it's remain secret as to present. Because I am not the commanding officer right now, and I would have to discuss the union with Agamemnon.
Achilles embraces Polyxena and takes her hand.
I'm sorry for everything I've done to you and your people.
Meanwhile, allies to the house of Troy have arrived, and as their numbers are great and their warriors fresh, the Greeks take beating. Soldiers came from as far away as Ethiopia, and with them their leader, Memnon, son of the goddess Aurora. Ajax urges Achilles to join them on the battlefield.
Achilles, the fierce Amazon Roman warriors have come to fight in Memnon. Son of a goddess, we need you. I weary of fight, but I cannot refuse you.
They join the melee on the plains of Troy. Achilles is rushed from all sides, but a strong Amazon tests his strength. They fight at length until Achilles takes a deadly blow. Achilles tears off her helmet, and they recognize each other as soulmates.
That's Leah, queen of the Amazon.
She dies in his arms. Enraged, he lashes out and spots the king of Ethiopians. Achilles rushes him.
Son of Aurora!
Memnon turns back but is struck down. Immediately, he falls, and Achilles walks off in disgust. Aurora's grief at the loss of her son is so great that each morning at dawn, before Apollo's chariot pulls in the sun, her tears rain down on the land and appear to mortals as dewdrops on flower petals in the green blades of grass. Scene 8. The next day, Achilles sneaks out of camp and meets Polyxena at the temple of Apollo. This is not the first of their meetings. They have spent much time together talking about their families and their future. Polyxena, seated beside him on a bench, tells of her childhood chasing dragonflies along the reed-choked Trojan river's commander. Achilles tells her of being dipped in the river Styx as an infant so that he would be immortal. And except for the fact that his heel is invulnerable, he is as immortal as mortals get. And they talk. Achilles grows to love her and looks forward to the end of the war.
Please tell me more about your trip to the Oracle of Delphi.
There'll be one more tales to tell, save for the tale of your death.
Polyxena, have you not so willingly thrown away your future?
Polyxena calmly stands and steps aside. Achilles realizes that he has been betrayed. He draws his sword.
How can I be?
Was destroyed when you killed my
No! No! This cannot be happening! Ah!
Paris lets fly a single arrow and hits Achilles in the heel, a perfect aim. Achilles cries out in pain and he falls. Polyxena and Paris hear voices and they leave the temple.
I know he was up to something.
What has happened? He is slain. What will become of us?
Ajax carries the bodies of Achilles back to the Greek encampment on the beach. Scene 9. From the sea, a great wailing begins and a foamy froth at the shoreline begins to churn. The sea is disturbed.
Great is my woe. My son Achilles, take it from me, after I've worked so hard to keep him out of harm's way.
Great Zeus, release her from her pain.
As a babe, I held him by his heel and dipped it in the mortal waters of the river Styx, giving everlasting life.
Great Zeus, show me mercy.
As a youngster, I gave him the greatest tutor man could have, Chiron, the centaur, master of arms and learning.
Great Zeus, her misery is endless.
As an adult, I hid him on the island Skyros, away from the war. Poseidon joined me in an end to the royal house of Troy.
Scene 10. Athena, protector of Achilles, proposes a vote for the arms of Achilles, his armor to the best soldier of the Greek forces. The warriors must choose between Odysseus and Ajax. Agamemnon broods over not being nominated.
In these jars are clay marbles, one representing votes for Ajax, the other for Odysseus. Let the votes be counted.
Athena, fond of Odysseus for his clever strategies, sees to it that he has the most votes. Agamemnon peers into the jar, then whispers to Athena.
It has been decided by the soldiers of the Greek forces that Odysseus shall bear the arms of
Stunned and silent, Ajax looks off into the distance. He does not notice when the rest of the soldiers leave. In rage, he leaves his tent to track down Agamemnon Odysseus. But the goddess Athena sends madness into his body, and instead of slaying the men, he smotes down swine used to feed his fellow soldiers. When the madness leaves him, he is bloody.
What have I done? I've not killed men, but swine. I am a soldier. It is my purpose to bring down men. My powers are wasted. I cannot live with this such thing.
And Ajax falls on his sword. Scene 11. Days later, Priam watches as the Greeks burn their encampment, load everything onto their ships, and sail off. Puzzled, he assembles a group, which includes his daughter Cassandra and Laocoon, priest of Apollo, and his two sons. They investigate down at the beach. Before them in the sand was mired a wooden horse as tall as a house. The group stands mystified at the bizarre creation.
What is this, a giant wooden horse?
Beware, the blood of the citizens of Troy.
Dear girl, know not what you say. It is a majestic structure.
Let us take it as the earliest men as an offering. Perhaps it would be a violation of the covenant.
Take out this strange gift, which is an omen and end to us all.
Laocoon, priest of Apollo, we speak to Osirius. Let us examine farther.
Heed our warning, the end is near.
Suddenly, two sea serpents slither up the beach, wrap themselves around a struggling Laocoon and his two sons. Screaming in agony, they are dragged into the sea.
Horrifying.
Priam directs the gates to be opened and the great structure is moved into the city. Scene 12. There is much singing and dancing celebrating the retreat of the Greek forces. Children put flower wreaths around the horse's neck and toss blossoms at its feet. The festivities last until the early hours of the morning, and when the last soldier on guard has fallen asleep, the belly of the horse opens up.
They're ours for the taking. Let's do it!
Round up the royal family! Burn the city so I have nothing left standing is higher than my knee!
And a band of Greek soldiers begins cutting a path of destruction across the city. While another group run to the open gates, the other side of which waits the entire allied Greek forces who had been hiding off the coast. The ancient city falls. Scene 13. The next morning, the women of Troy are brought before the Greek warriors. Their men killed, they are at mercy of the victors.
Troy, I beg mercy for my family. As the Queen of Troy, you have no voice. As leader of the Greek forces, I desire Cassandra, your lovely daughter.
For her part in the death of brave Achilles, your other daughter, Polysena, will be sacrificed on Achilles' tomb. I will take you, home to Ithaca to help my wife and my young son.
Menelaus approaches Helen and puts his hand on his sword. His wish is to strike her down for the suffering of so many. But when she turns to look at him, his love is new, and he takes her back as his wife.
Andromache, wife of Hector, step forward. You will be given to Neptalus, son of Achilles. Why do you hide yourself? Who tugs at your gown?
A soldier pushes Andromache aside to reveal Astyanax, the last son of the royal house of Troy.
My son, my husband, and now my grandson. Have mercy. The heir to the royal house of Troy shall not live. Throw it from the walls. Gather the gold and leather ships. For 10 long years, Helen has been returned to her husband, and we can go home.
Scene 14. But home they go not. Many adventures and tragedies befall the Greeks after the Trojan War, and no one can finish a tale better than Homer himself.